I don't know if y'all know, but he got a black eye from that tortilla slap on son when we filmed that video. It was pretty hilarious. Okay, anyways, can any of you juggle? Can anybody juggle? Nobody can. I can juggle too. That's not juggling. No, nobody can juggle. I was going to have one of you juggle right now in the middle of service, and nobody, that's sad. I can sort of. Let's see. Yeah, okay, lost that one, but you want to throw it back? So none of you, okay, here's the deal. All of you could juggle. None of you can, apparently. So the reason that you can't, even though you could, is because you didn't learn, right? And anybody can learn. It's not actually that hard. You start with 1, you add 2. 2 is not really juggling. And then you got to get to 3. Now, I can't do 4 or anything like that because I stopped at 3 when I was in middle school, and I decided to learn how to do that. And here's the deal. When it comes to something like juggling or something like that, okay, there's a process if you want to learn to do it, okay? You can't do it. The reason you can't, because you never took the process to learn. It's not that difficult, but you can do it. Now, there are a lot of things that are way more complicated if you wanted to learn them. Some of you, who can play an instrument? Instrument players, that is a lot. Who can play an instrument good enough that other people want to hear it? Okay, like some of you are like, yeah, that's me. So that's good. There's a lot of you who can play an instrument, and here's what you know if you play an instrument, is there's a process, okay? Like if you wanted to learn to play the drums, you don't just walk over to the drums one day and sit down and just start playing, you know? Yeah, right, Sully? Right? It took a long time, you know, eventually, you know, I don't know, I didn't think about what I was going to play when I got over here. But you have to like learn, okay, there's a process. You start out just going, okay, and eventually you can play something, but there's a process to get there. Now, there are some people that decided that they want to put in the effort and the process and learn because they want to be able to play an instrument. And the neat thing is at the end, you get to play. And actually learning an instrument never ends because no matter how good you get, there's always more to learn. As I come to those things, you just kind of get to the point where you don't want to learn anymore. But it's just a process that you go through. And it's cool though, if you do it, you get to play the instrument. Some of you know somebody that can cook good. Can any of you cook good? Any good cookers? Cooks? Yeah, okay, some of you. So like when I got married, my wife was not a good cook. She wasn't a bad cook. She just didn't know how to cook anything, right? Like she had never cooked in her life, really. More than not much. But the good news is she has learned how to cook, okay? And bake. I mean, we made homemade bread today, and it's so good. Anyway, so like, she can cook now, and because here's the thing, there's a process she went through. She learned how to cook. She learned how to do this. And the neat thing is once she learned how to do that, now we get to experience the joy. And I'm trying not to get fat, but the joy of a good cooking, right? And because you went through the process. Now, we've been talking about a specific process. This is the final week in this series of The Way, and talking about what it means to be a disciple. And the truth is, discipleship is a process. It's not like a one-time moment thing. It's a process that you go through, a continual thing. In fact, this is what we said a disciple is. A disciple is someone who seeks to be with Jesus, to become like him and do what he does. So when you become a Christian or you become a disciple, you don't instantly be able to do everything that Jesus could do and everything that he wants you to do. You're not instantly going to just be immediately like him. You're going to be more like him, but it's beginning a process that you go through as you're learning to do this. The problem is most of us don't like processes. This is why you can't juggle. You're like, I don't want to learn. I'm not going to sit in my room like that dork did for hours, throwing a ball up and down, trying to catch it. Like, I'm not going to do that. And they don't want the process. That's why there's a lot of things we can't do. And a lot of times we don't want to go through, we like things that are fast and easy. That's why we like fast food, right? I don't want my food later. I want it fast, okay? So I like microwaves. I don't want to have to wait for the oven to heat up. I want my food now, okay? And we like it now. I don't know about you. If I'm watching YouTube, and they get one of those ads you can't skip, you know what I'm talking about? I'm like, I'm just not even going to watch this video. I'm just going to, I'm tired of waiting on these ads. I get frustrated. I don't like to wait. And when it comes to discipleship, I don't know, maybe we think we're just supposed to be there. Like, oh, I'm a Christian now, it's all done. But it's a process that we're going through. And here's the good thing, okay? If you decide to go through the process, you get to reap the benefits of the process. And it's actually a joyous thing, okay? As you go along, and you get to learn how to really be with Jesus. And then you're going through a difficult time and you know how to be with him, and it changes that difficult time. And you learn how to become like him, and you start to love people that aren't very lovable, and you start to do things you would have never done before, and because you become more like him, and that's a joyful thing. And then you learn to do what he does. So this is the last week. We're going to talk about the last one of these things, and that is learning to do what he does. Now, when I say do what he does, I don't mean we're going to look in the Bible and pick out some stuff that he did and then try to do it ourselves. Because he did that like walking on water thing. You remember that? Okay. Does anybody have a swimming pool? Who has a swimming pool? Okay, all right, finding all the rich kids. Okay, sorry. No, I don't have a swimming pool. Okay, if we go to one of these people's houses that have a swimming pool. It'll be fun. We'll all go as a youth group, but you're not going to wear a swimsuit because she's like, I have one. Okay, we're not going to wear a swimsuit. We're going to go in our clothes, and you have to hold your phone and have your wallet in your pocket, and then we're going to practice walking on water, right? Because you're not going to go in because you're going to be like Jesus. We're all going to have run clothes and run phones, okay? Because we're not going to that's not the goal, right? To find something Jesus did, like walk on water and do that, okay? None of us are going to get nailed to a cross. That would be a really weird church, It's like, who wants to get nailed this week, all right, to the cross? We're going to put them up there on the wall and just hammer your hands into, okay, gross. No, we're not going to do that. So we're not like, that's not what it means to do what Jesus does, okay? But I like to say it like this. If you're a disciple, okay, this is my way of saying it, you should do what he would do if he were you, okay? You should do what he would do if he were you. In other words, if he were a middle schooler going to your school or a high schooler going to your school and had your classes and the people around you and got an upset stomach when he ate that food and like had that math class and he had the situation, the same parents, the same siblings, okay? If he was you and he was facing a situation, what would he do? You would, if you're a disciple, your goal is you should do what he would do if he were you, okay? Now that's my stupid way of saying something that's been around for a really, really long time. Like people used to say this. When I was a kid, everybody got a bracelet, okay? And the bracelet said, anybody know? Okay, the bracelet said WWJD, okay, because it would be way too long. And what WWJD meant was, what would Jesus do? And so the goal was, is you should be going through your life or through your day, and something would happen, and you would go, what would Jesus do? Okay, and again, we didn't mean like, what would Jesus do, like walk on water type stuff, okay? We meant like, what would Jesus do if he were me and facing this situation, okay? But WWJDIHWMAFTS didn't look very cool, so we didn't say it that way. That'd be a weird bracelet, okay, like what is that? Okay, and so we just kept it at, what would Jesus do? And the idea is I'm going through situations. So you go home today. Some of you are going to go home, and some of you have a sibling. Anybody have one of those? Brother, sister? Okay. And they're going to do that thing that you hate so much, okay? And I don't know what it is. They ate your food. Okay, they moved your stuff. They made you late again tomorrow. Whatever it is, they're going to do that thing. And in that moment, before you speak, and before you make a scene, before you do whatever it is you normally do when they do that thing that you hate, you're going to say to yourself, okay, what would Jesus do if he was me and had a dumb sibling, okay? Like, that's what you're gonna say. And you can replace that. What would he do if he had a dumb teacher, a dumb coach, what would he do? First of all, he'd probably not call him dumb, okay? But what would he do if he were me, okay? What would Jesus do in this situation? Well, he probably wouldn't do what I'm about to do. He probably wouldn't say what I'm about to say to my parents. He probably wouldn't, okay? And here's the cool thing about that, okay? If you were to start to do that, you would begin to look a little more like Jesus. And that is kind of the goal, right? It is the goal, that we start to do what he would do if he were you. And so we want to start to do that, but that is a powerful thing. It's something I hope that you'll do. Maybe you'll even buy the bracelet. I don't know, I don't care. That's up to you. But that you begin to ask yourself that. But I wanted to actually take it a step further for our talk tonight, because that's very reactionary. In other words, like, something happens, what does Jesus do? What would he do right now? If they mistreat me, what would Jesus do right now? If this thing happens, what would he do? And that's a great thing to do. I'm saying we should do that. But I want to go a little further and talk about being proactive. Like where we wake up and we go, what would Jesus want me to do today? Like, what would be his passion today? What would he be care about in the world today? And make that our focus. And so I want to talk about a specific thing that I know that Jesus would be doing and he would want us to be doing in this world. So we're going to look at just something Jesus said, pretty simple, okay? And he lays this thing out for us, and he says this. He says, for the Son of Man, that's Jesus, by the way, came to seek and to save that which was lost. What was lost? I'm quoting like another translation in my mind. Okay, to seek and to save what was lost. Now, Jesus saved the world by dying on the cross. Good news, you don't have to do that. We already talked about the cross thing. We're not mimicking that, okay? So we're not doing that, but he did this though. He looked for lost people. He sought out lost people to help. And I want you to know this. If he were here today, do you know what he would be doing? He would be seeking out lost people and trying to help them. And if he was talking to you and you said, Jesus, what do you want me to do? I want you to seek out lost people and help them. I want you to see them saved. I know that's what he wanted to do because that's what he told his disciples to do. He's leaving. He's about to go. And he says this to them. He says, go, seek. Okay? Same thing. He says, go, make disciples of all nations. Okay, you make disciples of lost, unsaved people. Okay? If they're already saved, they're already disciple. Okay, but he says, go find people that are lost, seek them, and help them get saved. Make disciples of all nations, baptizing them in the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit, and teaching them to obey everything I commanded you. He wanted his disciples, and if you're his disciple, he wants you to seek, to go, and make disciples, to help people get to know him. Now, I want to first give you a little bit of vision for your future, and then I'm going to make it practical for your now, okay? So he says this, check this out, teaching them to obey everything. Now, I believe that every single one of you should at some point in your future be at a place where you can teach others how to follow Jesus. That if somebody had a question about what to do or how to follow God and that, you can help them with that. That you can teach people yourself. Now, if you think about this, okay, I want you to think about somebody like Jess. Where's Jess? I know you're in here. There she is, Jess, okay? Or somebody like Mercy. Okay? I'm talking about some of our small group leaders, okay? Now, they are at a place spiritually where they can lead many of you. They can encourage you. They can strengthen you. If you need prayer, they're going to know how to pray for you. They know Bible. They don't know everything, but they know a lot, okay? And here's the thing. They are at a place, wouldn't you agree, that some of you would hope to be at eventually. Now, here's the deal. Some of you right now, you could not lead a small group. You wouldn't have a clue what to do. You don't know, and that's okay where you're at. But I want to let you think about this. All of you, if you're a disciple of Jesus, at some point in your future, should be at a place where you could get 3 or 4 people together and lead them closer to Christ. That you could lead a Bible study. You could lead. Now you're like, oh, I don't know. No, definitely not. Okay, no, of course not. Not right now, because you're here in your growth, okay? You're still throwing one tennis ball in the air, okay? And that's fine right now, but you're going to grow. And this needs to be something you think about for you. All of you should be there someday to where you could pray with people on the altar, where you could sit down with people and explain things in the Bible to them. You might not can now, but you need to someday. So that's someday, okay? And I want that to be a vision in your mind because that's something that you should have. And because, look, I mean, Mercy's 18. Some of you are 16, okay? And that means in 2 years from now, you may not be where she's at, but you need to have a goal of getting to the place where you could do those kinds of things, okay? Now, I'm going to go back to what Jesus said. The Son of Man came to seek and save that which was lost. Have you ever been like physically lost? Like maybe at the store when you were a kid. I lost my mommy and daddy. And yeah, some of you did that. Okay. I got lost in the woods one time at night. Okay. I was out in the night with a flashlight and I was hiking around and I got lost. And it was pretty terrifying for a few minutes because like I literally did not know. I got turned around and I lost the trail and I did not know which way to walk. And I was like, I could literally be walking the opposite direction and not know it for hours. Like I don't even know. Like it was a pretty scary few minutes as I was trying to figure out where I was and all that. And the weird thing is I was actually lost before I knew I was lost. This is a weird thing about being lost. Okay, you're walking along and it's not like you go, there's the trail. If I take one more step, I'll be lost. Okay, no, you don't even know it at first when you're lost. You're just walking along thinking, I'm like, oh look, that's cool. Oh yeah, and all of a sudden I'm like, oh no. I've been lost. I didn't even know I was lost. And then when you're lost, it's pretty terrifying. Now, when I'm talking about being lost, Jesus isn't talking about physically lost. He's talking about people that are lost from God. And I want you to know this. When you are talking to people in your world, you all know people that are far from God and don't know him. And they are going through, when you are lost, it's scary. Now, some of them are lost and they don't know it. They don't even know to be scared yet. They're like, life is great. And they're walking through the dark and they're about to, at some point in their life, they're going to go, things are a mess, okay? And you're like, yeah, that's what happens when you walk like that. And but everybody that doesn't know him is lost, whether they know it or not. And then eventually they find out that they're hurting. They're alone, they're stressed, they're depressed. But here's the saddest part to me, okay? People that don't know Christ, they have no idea what the peace of God feels like. And some of you have experienced that in a very real way. They have no idea what the presence of God is like. I mean, I have felt the Holy Spirit in my life in such powerful ways, and it just dramatically changed me. They have no idea what it's like to have like the guiding spirit in their life that shows them what to do and gives them purpose. And they have no idea what is available, okay? You do. if you've followed him, if you've experienced that, and you're not lost yourself. But if you're a believer, okay, you need to recognize how hurting and how much of a bad situation these people are in. And then think about this. What would Jesus do if he were you? If he was in your spot and they were your friends, what would he do? Well, he'd probably not want to offend them by talking to them about church. What? Come on, like we do this really weird stuff. Of course, what would he do? He would seek and try to find a way to help them. So what I want to do is I want to give you some practical things. But I want to show you one more thing about Jesus, then I'm going to give you 3 practical things, okay? So this says, the Son of Man came to seek and save that was lost. There's another scripture that starts the same way, and then tells you something else about what Jesus did. It says, the Son of Man came eating and drinking. Apparently, he liked food. I have that in common, okay? He liked good food. And then it says, and you say, here's a glutton and a drunkard and a friend of tax collectors and sinners. So one of the things that people that didn't like about Jesus was that he was like friendly and friends. He sat down, had meals, and hung out with people they called sinners. Tax collectors was another kind of a sinner in their day, okay? So they didn't like this about him because he would sit down and have meals with them. And why did he do that? Because he was trying to build a relationship with these people so that he could seek and save them. He was seeking a way to save them, and he did it by relationship. So if we're going to talk about how to seek and save, because I believe if you're a disciple, this is what Jesus wants you to do. One of the things that he wants you to do is to seek and to save, to help people. So the first thing is to do what he did. Use relationships. Now, we talk a lot about the importance of your closest friends that influence you being believers. I think it's just so important. If you do not have a network of Christian friends that keep you strong, you will get weak, okay? You need them, and they should be the people that you go to when you have problems and that you talk to. That's important, but we shouldn't get in little Christian huddles and not care about people that aren't saved. If you have no unchristian people in your life, you need to find some. Because we need to be building relationships with the intention of seeing them saved. And it reshapes the way you see those people in your life. And most of you, okay, if you go to public school, I know you have friends that are lost, okay? They're all around you all the time. And I want you to begin to re-see those relationships in a different way and begin to use those relationships to help people. So a few years ago, we had a couple guys. They were in BHS band here in town. And they decided they were going to use those relationships because they were section leaders in their section. They were going to use those relationships to try to get as many people to come as they possibly could to the church. And over the course of a year or so, we ended up with we had about 20 BHS band students in this place because of those few that started doing it. And I remember I would watch them. They would come in and they would start saving seats, okay? And then they would get on the phone. They always got here early at like 7. And they'd be like, hey, I'm saving you a seat. You're going to be here tonight, right? Nope, that's not good enough. You're going to be here. That's not important. You need to come. And then they would call somebody else and be like, hey, you're going to be here in just a few minutes, right? I'm saving your seat. Okay, no, I'm coming. I'm going to come pick you up. And they would just go get people, and they just made it. This is the thing. They said, no longer did they just go to band. Okay, band was a big part of their life, but band was the place where they had the relationships to bring people to Christ. And they had this shift, and it made a huge difference. Before them, there was a girl, her senior year, she decided she wanted to get as many of her friends saved at school as she could. I don't know what happened, just one day, she just did it. And one night, she brought 2, and they both got saved that night. And then those 3 brought some more. And over the course of about 3 months, we had 8 people get saved here on Wednesday nights. I remember one of them, I prayed with this guy right over here, and then I baptized him, and now he's a missionary. And another one got saved. I don't remember where he got saved at in the room, but he got saved, and he is now working at a church somewhere. And on and on. So, and one person said this, you know what? I have all these friends at school. I have all these things going on in my life, but I'm going to make these people the focus. I'm going to use these relationships to impact people. And what I'm saying to you is you all have friendships. You all have relationships. You all have things that are going on, and you can use those relationships to help people. Use those relationships to seek and save those that are lost, right? So that's the first thing you want to do. You use relationships. So you already have them. You're already doing this stuff, but you're going to take advantage of them to help people. Okay, here's the second one. Use what you know. Guess what? You already know some stuff. You might not know very much, but that's okay because you can use what you know. I heard this story about this guy who got saved, and so he was on drugs, and he decided to kill himself. And the way he decided to kill himself was by putting his head in an oven. I don't exactly know how that would work, but so he turns this oven on, and he sticks his head in the oven, and I guess he's sitting there waiting on it to get hotter. I don't know how this works. So he's trying to kill himself with his head, and it was an electric oven. He must have been high. Anyways, he was on drugs. And so he's sitting there, and his friends had been witnessing to him, trying to get him saved, okay, and talking to him about Jesus and stuff. And so he's sitting there with his head in the oven, and he's thinking about, life and dying, and he starts thinking about what his friends had told him about Jesus. And he said that in that moment, he realized what the love of Jesus was for and what it did in his life. And while his head is in an oven, he decides to repent, change his life, turn to God, and he gets his head out of the oven, okay, and he becomes saved. And the next day, he went to a friend's house that he used to do drugs with, okay, and he told his friend all about what happened. He said, I gave my life to Christ. I feel like a totally different person. I don't have that sadness. I don't have a lot in my life. He told him all about what God did. And his friend goes, well, I want to get saved too. How do I do it? And he goes, so he walked over and he opened the oven. He goes, put your head in. And his friend put his head in the oven, and he told him, just ask Jesus to save you. And that's all he knew how to do. Okay, now I don't recommend you telling your friends to put their head in an oven, okay? But my point is, he didn't know very much. All he knew was, Jesus can save me if I ask him to, right? That's all he knew. And he used that. So I can tell you something that you know, okay? What has Jesus done in your life? And this is so simple. But I know if you have been with God for very long at all, Jesus has done something in your life, okay? Maybe he saved you when your head was in an oven, okay? Maybe he helped you with some sadness and some stress, some depression. I know he set you free of things if many of you, okay. You can share what God has done with your life with people in your life. You use the relationships and share what God has done. And then here's just one more step. This is taking it a little bit more mature, okay? What can Jesus done in their life? What can Jesus do in their life? Okay, I should have proofread that. What can Jesus do in their life? So think about this. A friend comes to you and they tell you something that's going wrong, okay? If you have close friends, at some point they're going to tell you something that's going on in their life that's not good. If you don't have this mindset, you're just going to go, oh man, that stinks. If you have this kind of mindset, you're going to go, this is my moment. Jesus wants to help them. And you're going to tell them, hey, I know you're going through something, but I think God can help you. And you can either pray with them, you can invite them to church in that moment, you can do something, but that is the moment. You can help them understand what God, do you think that someone would go to Jesus and go, I'm really struggling because my parents are splitting up and I just feel so overwhelmed? Or they would come and say, hey, I just got broken up with and I feel so heartbroken. And he would just go, oh man. Or do you think he would pray with them and encourage them and lead them towards himself? Of course, it's a little different because he leads them towards him and we lead them towards him, okay? But of course he would do something. And if you are his disciple, you need to start using those opportunities to do something. So do as you know. And then here's the final thing. Use Amplify. Okay, use Amplify. And I'm going to think about it like this. If I gave one of you this board right here, and I said, okay, I want you to put this screw into this board. And I gave you this right here. Now the deal is you can do this, okay? And it takes a while, okay? It's a lot of work to do this. And you can do that. But if you take this guy right here, he's like, use the driver. Okay, yeah, if you take this, oh, I got it on reverse. Okay, gone, done. Okay, so this is what I want to say, okay? Use Amplify. Okay, Amplify is like a tool, okay, that you can use when it comes to impacting. Isn't that a great illustration? It's a tool that you can use to impact people in your life. Because I want to tell you something. I have seen it over and over and over and over again, where somebody comes into this place and they experience something that they never have before. Many people have never felt the presence of God, and it is amazing that during worship, even an unbeliever sometimes will go, something feels different in here. And they don't even have to hear a single thing. And they'll have people talk to them, and they go to school, and nobody talks to me. And they come in here, and people were nice to me. That was weird. And, okay, so there's a girl one time, she invited her friend to go to Chick-fil-A, and didn't tell him they were coming to church after. And just brought him to church, and he was mad. Okay, he was like, I am never hanging out with you on a Wednesday again, because like, you're going to trick me. And he was all upset about it. And don't do that, okay? But this is what she did. And I remember because he was sitting right over here. We had the sections a little different back then. And he was like this during worship. And then as the service went on, he kind of finally dropped his arms. And then by the end of the service, I remember I walked over and was talking to him, and he looked at his friend and goes, can I come back next week? And because something happened, he didn't even know, he wasn't even ready for it. Like, he just felt something different, and God kind of just talked to his heart and just began to change him. And this is a powerful tool for you to bring people here and see their lives changed. And I want to encourage you to do that. And there's some opportunities coming up. Easter is in 2 Sundays. So some of you have family that doesn't go to church. This is a good time for you to maybe ask your mom and dad to come to church. Now, I'm going to tell you something. This Easter, I'm preaching, okay? So if you have a parent, this is a good chance for you to say that don't go to church, hey, you should come listen to the guy I go listen to every week. Okay, I want you to hear him. He's going to be preaching on Sunday. So invite them to come, okay? If you have friends, okay, invite them. Okay, they say that 85% of people will say yes to Easter. That's what the stats say. So if you ask 10, 8.5 of them are, I don't know how the half works, but like 8.5 of them are going to say yes, okay? And so this is a great chance Easter is, okay? And then a couple weeks after Easter, you'll start getting flyers soon. We're going to do our Amplify event. We do it every spring. We have the s'more bonfire things. We have all that. And it's just a chance for you to easily bring people, tell them, hey, we're going to have free pizza. We're going to have all that. And you're going to invite people. Okay, if you don't take advantage of that with the people in your life, you are missing out on a huge opportunity to reach people, okay? And then the final part of this, okay, you're going to use Amplify, but we also need you to help Amplify. Use it to reach your friends. I want you to use this place, okay? We want to be used, okay? And use Amplify to help, but then we need you to help Amplify. And this is what I mean by that. We can be a place that reaches people if the people here are reaching people when they come. Now, people are going to come. They're going to come Sunday morning because their parents made them, okay? They're going to come on Wednesday night because somebody invited them. They're looking for a random church. There's all types of reasons people are going to walk into this place. And if you will decide to help, we can make a difference. Every generation of Amplify has had a handful of people that decided they were going to change this place. And I can name some of the names over the years. I remember the first one who just got it was a guy named Jonathan Emmert. This was many, many years ago. And many of the older people are here because of him. Literally everybody that walked into this place that was a guy, he made feel welcome. Every single guy. Everybody. I mean, he made everybody feel welcome. And he just said, this is my church. I'm going to do this. I'm going to make this place awesome. And he did. And I tell you what, if some of you would decide this is my church, and I'm going to make it awesome. Some of you need to go all in with church, with Amplify. Okay, and I'll tell you what all in looks like. You're starting kind of a little in if Wednesday night is all you do. That's a good step. Okay, that's not really all in. That's like putting your toe in the water, okay? I want you to start coming. I want you to come to small groups on Sunday night, into fellowships, and be a part of that. Come to the activities. You're like, oh, it's just hanging out. It's not very spiritual. It's extremely spiritual to build spiritual friendships, to build Christian friendships. So you start creating a place that is fun, that is happy, that is full of joy. And then whenever somebody walks in that we don't know, you be the one to make them feel amazing, to make them feel welcome, to make them feel like they're cared about. And most people do not care about what I do on their first 10 times, okay? They don't care, as long as people are kind to them. Now, if I talk for an hour and a half, I could probably run them off. But most people aren't going to care because we're not that long. And what they really care about is whether or not somebody cared about them. And if you decide to help Amplify, this is what's going to happen. We have 52 chairs out tonight, something like that. We have 100 more chairs, some in that closet, some up there. And eventually they're all going to be sitting out here, filled with people who got saved. I told a group of people earlier today, in 2019, for 2 months, every Wednesday night somebody got saved. And I'm believing we're going to see that and more. That we're just going to start seeing people get saved all the time. Why? Because you started to use some relationships to seek out and help some people. That you started to do what you know and help what you know and share what you know and share your story, and then you started to use Amplify and bring them, and we made this place so amazing that people go, I just want to go back. I don't really know if I believe in that God thing, but I want to go back, until suddenly God changes their heart. What if you woke up in the morning and you decided, I'm a disciple and I am seeking to help the lost? That's different. That's what Jesus would want you to do. To be people that wake up and go, who can I help today? Who am I going to lead towards Christ? You want to know what he would be doing right now if he was walking physically on this earth? He'd be seeking people that needed help. And so let's be those people too. But maybe you came tonight and you feel lost. You feel you have hurt. You need help. Well, guess what? We know the guy that can help you. And his name is Jesus. And so during these next couple moments, we're going to pray. And if you are far from God and you want to be close to God, I want to encourage you to go pray with somebody. With a hurt, you're dealing with something that's going on in your life and you need him to help you, I want you to go pray with somebody. So whatever is going on in your life, if you need prayer, we're going to sing a song together, and we'll be dismissed in a few minutes. But during this time, if you need prayer, I want to ask you to go. There'll be people in that side of the room, and that side of the room, and go and let them pray with you. Father God, I thank you that you love us and you're with us. I pray that we would truly be your disciples and go after people to seek and save those who are lost. Pray you put a passion in our heart and a courage to do it. In Jesus' name, amen.